a legal fight that drags on for more than 20 years. You've got lawyers arguing, witnesses testifying, tons of evidence, and finally, a judgment. But what if, after all that, it turns out the court should never have heard the case at all?
Before any of the drama can start, before a single argument is made, every single court has to ask itself one critical question. Do I actually have the authority to decide this? This, right here, is the question of jurisdiction.
Okay, so to really get why this matters so much, we're going to look at a real-world case that honestly takes this principle to the absolute extreme. It's a story that kicks off with a simple job appointment and then takes over 2 decades to resolve.
And he keeps that job for decades, even retiring in 2013, all while his original lawsuit is just slowly grinding its way through the system. The final judgment doesn't even come out until 21 years after he first filed.
And right here, this is where the whole thing gets a major plot twist. Because while this case was crawling along, something happened on the outside that completely changed the rules of the game for disputes like this one.
Now, it might look like just some boring legal text, but trust me, this act would end up being the one single thing that decided this entire decades-long case.
It literally says that regular civil courts, like the one where the case was filed, no longer had the power, no longer had the jurisdiction to handle these university employee issues.
After 21 long years, the case finally makes it to the High Court. But after all that time, the court wasn't focused on who was right or wrong way back in 1992. Its focus was on something way more fundamental.
Since that new law had stripped the original court of its power, could any decision it made actually be valid?
And the answer from the High Court was a clear, loud, and absolute no. The court ruled that if you don't have jurisdiction, you are powerless. You cannot look at the evidence, you cannot hear arguments, and you sure can't issue a judgment that means anything.
So the next time you hear about some big court ruling, before you even start to think about who won or who lost, just take a second and ask yourself that first most important question of all. Did that court even have a ticket to the game? Because as we've just seen, if they didn't, nothing else matters.